Hey everyone, blessings and welcome. In this video, I will be discussing why some women have difficulty vetting men. But before we get into our topic, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel if you're not already a subscriber. Definitely hit that like button because it really does help me out. Share this video if you enjoy my content and drop a comment. I would love to hear from you. And as usual, I do appreciate your support of this channel. Now let's get into why I believe some women have difficulty vetting men. There's two things and two reasons I'm going to get into. The first one is some women, some of us will superimpose our ideas and ideals about men in relationships we're going to superimpose that over what's actually being presented to us. You know, the man that we're dating or that we're engaged to or that we're interested in, we're going to superimpose those ideas, and they may not be correct. They may not be right. And it starts really young for women. The socialization and, the building of these ideas, we get it through fairy tales. We get it through Disney and cartoons. A little bit older, we get it through romance novels, and we get it through Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel. Wait a minute, I really do like Hallmark movies, but you see where I'm going here. So yeah, we get all of these things and, through media and through the things that we are read in our childhood and that we consume. And, it builds up these ideas about what relationships are about and what men are all about. And a lot of this stuff is not true to real life, And, there's some women out here, they want very badly to be married, and those who aren't, and to be in relationships, and will ignore obvious red flags. So these things can become blinders to women in the vetting process because of the bad ideas or maybe the false ideas. And because of, they very, very much want to be in a relationship, and they're willing to ignore, obvious problems with the individual that they're dating or what have you. Right. So women out here have to definitely be careful with that. And and we do have to take responsibility. We have to take responsibility for what happens in our lives, who we invite into our lives. And, we can't be responsible for how people behave. They're going to behave the way they're going to behave. He's going to behave how he's going to behave. We don't have any control over that. But we do have to, take some responsibility for, vetting and who we invite in. So those are choices that we can make. So women ignoring obvious red flags, it happens all the time. Some women are willfully blind, because they really want the relationship to work. They really think that he's going to change. They really think because he checks off of a couple of boxes that they agree with, and that's good by them, and they will ignore the things that are really, really problematic with the man, or they just don't want to be alone. So these are things that will become, in my opinion, serious blinders when it comes to vetting men. Some women just don't want to see. So a way that we can avoid that, because it actually happens to, and I've seen it happen to more women than, I can count, unfortunately. I think the best thing that we can do as women is to be sure before we get into relationships, before we say I do, before we get engaged and that ring gets on the finger, is to become, and if we're looking to get married, and you definitely want to be married, definitely dedicate yourself to healing your trauma, healing your personal issues, be on your healing journey, become spiritually stronger before you get into relationships. This will help you in the vetting process. This will help you choose in a selection of a suitable partner, this will sharpen your discernment and help you to see and really open your eyes to what's before you. Open your eyes to the person that you've just met. Open your eyes to the person that you're dating, to the man that you're dealing with. So, and definitely dedicate yourself to spiritual growth, and it will make all of the difference in your relationship, it will make all of the difference when you're in relationships with men. So yeah, and it will also, the Holy Spirit will, if there's been any false idea that's been embedded in your mind about men or about relationship or about the particular man that you're dating or dealing with, the Holy Spirit will begin to dismantle that stuff and replace it with the truth. So this is why it's very, very important for us to be on our healing journey, to grow spiritually, because this would definitely help us in the vetting process. But, unfortunately, there's some women out there who have these ideas, and this is what's causing them problems in their relationships. So that's one reason. The second reason why I believe some women have difficulty vetting men, and this is a big one. And this is actually the main reasons. And actually, I talked about personal responsibility, and we are responsible for what happens in our lives. But ladies, I'm going to give you some grace. I'm going to give you some grace out there, because there's those of you who might be watching. You might say to yourself, hey, listen, I didn't know he was going to do all that. The red flags didn't show up immediately. Everything was it was beautiful. It was fine at the beginning. It was great. It was wonderful. He seemed perfect. He didn't show that he was abusive. He didn't show that he was incredibly selfish. He didn't show that he was a narcissist, so on and so forth, right? I didn't see that. I didn't see the red flags. And some of you out there, you might feel like you've been duped. Really? Yeah, you might feel like you've been duped, like you've been played. You may feel like he just switched up on you. And oftentimes we women, we get blamed for that. We do. We get blamed for that, even if the red flags weren't so obvious. I'm going to give you some grace. Here's my opinion about all of that. I believe, my opinion, that we don't discover the measure of a man, the character of a man, until we go through certain situations. So, in other words, the measure of a man, the character of a man is revealed, is truly revealed through situations and circumstances. Unfortunately for many women, those situations don't occur in the dating phase or in the early stages of the relationship or in the honeymoon stage of the relationship. We don't see it then. He's on his best behavior. We don't see it then. It usually happens when we are locked into the relationship. That's when the real man is going to show up, the real guy. What's in his heart, what's in his soul, that's the real man is going to show up when you're locked in. And for some women, if he's not a decent man, it's unfortunate. So the real man is going to show up, whether he's good or bad, when we are vulnerable, when we're in a vulnerable position in a relationship, or we're just vulnerable in general. The real man is going to show up when we are totally dependent on him at some stage in a relationship. The real man is going to show up when or if there is a power imbalance. The real man is going to show up when he knows he has your love and you are 100% totally emotionally vested in him. So basically, you're in a situation where it's hard for you to leave because he has power. He has influence. He has say so, right? So it could be a situation where, yeah, everything was going great, but you got sick. You got sick. You're not well. And you're dependent on him. You're pregnant. You're expecting a child, or you're pregnant, or you have children, small children. You need his help. That's when a real guy is going to show up. What is he going to do? You're in a situation where you're out of work. You can't work for whatever reason, or maybe you're home with the children and you're 100% financially dependent on him. You need his income. His income is needed for the home, for the family, for your survival, for the survival of your children. If there's children present, that's when the real man is going to show up, when he knows he loves you and now you love him, you love him. And he can now be himself. That's when the real guy is going to show up. So what is he going to do with that power, that influence, and that authority? That's the measure of the man. That's the character of the man. Some men will, a number of men will step up and, do the right thing and provide and take care of their wives and their children and, really be a supportive partner and, really be helpful and really be loving, in a time of need, when you're vulnerable, when you're dependent, and when you really need him to show up. And there's some men who will take that as an opportunity to take advantage, to abuse, to mistreat, and to, just exert dominance and, put you in your place, So yeah, that's it. And unfortunately for some women out there, it's too late. You're already married. The ring's on the finger, or you started a family, you have children with him, so it's a tough situation. And we for some of us, we really don't know until we get in those situations what's truly in his heart, what's truly in his soul, how he truly feels about us, until he's in those situations. When the serotonin is running high and people are getting those dopamine hits and you're in love and everything's great and there's minimal problems because, you're probably not married yet. And of course he's going to be on his best behavior. Of course, so there's no challenge there in the honeymoon phase of the relationship. So yeah, that's why I believe, it's difficult to vet men because of that situation where, the true character, what I believe about men, in my opinion, is that men are demonstrative. We get to learn them through their actions, and that's part of the problem. So yes, ladies, I'm giving you a little grace. So what can we do if you're dating, or if you want to get married, you want to be a wife, you want a husband, you want a family, you want children, or you want to get remarried, whatever the situation is? What do you do? So I'm going to give you, at this portion of the video, some little help with vetting. And I'm going to start with some of the lessons that my father taught me, before I started dating. And, my father was a wonderful, fantastic, great father. He was a great man. My father was highly intelligent. He was a highly intelligent man, very high EQ, very emotionally intelligent, very wise. He was a very wise man and very funny. He had a great sense of humor. And he was determined in the process of raising me. He was determined to make sure that I understood as I was transitioning from childhood to being a teenager and starting to date. He wanted to make sure that I understood men and the nature of men. And I thank God for his example. I thank God for him telling the truth. He didn't sugarcoat anything. And I'm grateful for that. And I learned some amazing lessons from my father. So I'm going to share with you, and this is good for any of the younger women out there who are watching, and you may need a little guidance. This is good for you. Or maybe some women who might be older, maybe you need a refresher, or maybe this might be something you haven't heard before, or I'm sure you have, maybe. So let's get into it. So the 3 things my father taught me. Number 1, he said, make sure before you marry a man that he actually likes women. Sounds weird, but what my dad was referring to, he was referring to misogyny. Make sure you don't marry a misogynist or a man that's a deep misogynist, because he will hurt you. He will hurt you. You're going to have a miserable relationship, and he's going to hurt you. And, when my dad was talking about this, I was a little confused, because I was, young teenager, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course, the guy's straight, he's going to like women, But what my father was referring to is, this has nothing to do with sexual orientation. There are some men who might be physically attracted to women who hate women, absolutely hate women. And that's the misogynist. And he's like, make sure whoever you're with, that the man actually likes and respects women. It will make your relationship so much better. So yeah, look out, ladies. My dad told me to look out, for, sexist comments and, what are his views about women? Make sure you understand these things because it could definitely have an impact on the relationship and how he treats you. So, Dad said, make sure the man actually respects women, believes women to be equal in value and treats them like human beings. And very, very important. I think that lesson probably saved my life. I could have been, an episode on a true crime case, who knows? But yeah. Second thing my dad taught me is make sure you've seen this man get really angry. Dad taught me, do not marry a man who you've never seen really, truly angry. Because my dad taught me, he said, listen, you want to make sure this guy has some self-control. You want to make sure that, how does he deal with conflict and when things don't go his way? Is he going to blow up at you? Is he going to hit you? He's going to verbally assault you? Like, what is he, how does he manage conflict? What does he do with his anger when he's angry, when things are going poorly for him and when something upsets him deeply? What does he do with that? Make sure you see that before you marry the guy. Great advice from Dad. The third thing was that he told me and taught me is to make sure the man who you choose to spend your life with, the man who you say I do to, has a healthy outlet for his aggression. And this is something actually I don't think women think about too much, especially those women who are trapped in the ideals and ideas about men that are not true, the fairy tale about men. Men have aggression. XX and XY people are different. I know there are people out here who identify differently. There are people who are, some are more masculine or more feminine than others. And I understand that. But listen, we talk about XX, XY people, biology. Biology doesn't change or shift. It is what it is. There's differences there, right? And, with men, women, we have a 30-day cycle, a monthly cycle of hormones that we get. And men are actually on a 24-hour cycle. And these guys, they're getting pumped with testosterone like every hour. Every single hour, they're getting pumped, hour or so, they're getting pumped with testosterone. Testosterone, and they have an abundance of it. Some men can have more than like 20 times more testosterone than we have, which is significant. Okay. And it really alters the behavior, and men are more aggressive. They're just naturally more aggressive. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but if it's not handled, it could be, but it's actually one of the things that kept our species alive, in time of our early ancestors, him being able to hunt and, fight off, dangerous prey, to keep, our species safe. That's why he has the strength and the aggression, and all of that served us well. And that's why we're here today. That's one of the reasons why we're here today. But now we're in the 21st century, and our biology hasn't changed. So this man has been domesticated. What does he do with all of that aggression, right? And this is what my father was telling me about. Make sure he has a healthy outlet for his aggression. And every man needs an outlet. This is what my father told me. Every man needs an outlet. And my dad taught me well. He said, this is the time where you as a woman, you need to back off, because he has to release that aggression. Because if he doesn't properly release it, it could be maladaptive, and it could come out in a very bad way, and it could just build and get pent up, and it could be problematic for him and maybe for those around him. So, men are naturally, more aggressive than we are. And this is something we have to think about when getting into relationships with men, and then make sure that they have a healthy outlet for the natural aggression that they do have. And it is going to look differently, so in the 21st century, it might be him taking that 5-mile run in the morning, It might be him, going to play some recreational basketball or football, or him, Thursday nights going out with his friends playing pool, or, some women might have an issue with this, or him gaming, playing video games or board games or whatever. My father said all of that is fine as long as it doesn't disrupt family life or cause a problem in your relationship, or there's no imbalance there. So but my father told me, however that might look for him, if he's the less athletic type, it might be him being able to sit down with his favorite book to read, or if he's more artistic, him taking time to write or to paint or to sculpt, or if he works with his hands, him working on his car or his bike or whatever he likes to do. Or if he, once again, if he's a musician and playing his instrument, singing his songs, dancing, whatever it is that he does to release that aggression, to have that release throughout the week or the days or what have you. My dad said, back off and let him have his time. And as long as it's not disruptive, he has to get that out. So sometimes it might look like martial arts. You see men slamming to each other, punching each other, and him watching the game, watching other guys do that, watching the game, watching Sports Center, being a season ticket holder, going out to play golf, bowling leagues, coaching, little league, whatever it might look like, because every man is not totally the same. They're different. Whatever that might look like, find out what it is and make sure you know what it is. And if he's a guy who's who doesn't have much of a life, doesn't do much, is the question. That should be a red flag. Where does he release this aggression? Is it coming out in a negative way? Is he substance abusing? Is he drinking? Is it coming out through porn or sex addiction? So make sure he has healthy outlets for that aggression and for his frustrations also. So, my dad, smart, wise man, God rest his soul. He taught me well. And I hope those lessons that my dad taught helpful to you ladies out there. And before I close this video, I want to share a few of my observations that's been helpful to me along the way. Is, definitely make sure you take a look at the man's life and ask yourself the question, especially if you're looking to be married, is this a life I want to join in? Is this the life I want to be a part of? Because, if you're living by biblical standards and if you're a person of the faith, it's the two will become one. You're going to become one with this person. Interdependence. That whole, you have some men crying about submission. The whole submission thing, you should be mutually submissive, to one another, interdependence. You're becoming one. There's no master servant dynamic there. That's not even scriptural. We're not the servants. We are the counterparts. Women are the counterparts. Okay. So yeah, take a look at his life. How's he living? How is his personal leadership? Right. So, if he's going to be leading, take a look at how he's leading his life first, right? Examine his personal leadership. So that looks like, does he pay his bills on time? Does he follow through? Does he do what he says he's going to do? Does he start a thing and abandon it? Is he a man of his word? Is he dependable? Does he get back to you? Is he reliable? How does he treat the people in his life who he says he cares about? Who's in his inner circle? Who's influencing him? Who is he listening to? What are the things that he's reading? What are the things that he's consuming through social media or what have you? What type of person is he? How is he leading his own life? Is his life a wreck? Does he have his finances together? Does he take care of himself? Personal leadership. Real true leadership starts with yourself. So if you can't even lead yourself, how are you going to lead other people? So this is a very, very important thing that we ladies should be looking at. Look at his personal leadership, how he's living his life. Ask yourself the question, do I want to take part in that? Really? If it's looking good, it's probably safe to proceed. If it needs improvement, now that depends on your stage in your life. So, I'm not going to expect for a 25-year-old man to have everything together, and if there are, men and women who are getting together, who are, young men and women, they're young. Both of you are not going to have it all together. So you're going to grow together as one. You're going to grow together and build hopefully a wonderful life together, you're building it together. So you both don't have everything is not, where you want it to be. But the thing is, going back to personal leadership, how is he leading his life? Does he have good character? Is he showing empathy? Does he care about you? Is he a responsible person? Has he done anything for anyone else besides himself? Has he been responsible for anyone, whether it be, younger siblings or grandparents or his parents, or has he taken on responsibilities and leadership in some way, whether it be in school or, in the workplace? So these are all things that you have to look at. So even if he's not all there financially or not all there, you're still growing as a person because you're quite young. But if you're looking at, character, things that are lasting, it's probably safe to proceed. But if you're an older woman and there's certain things that should already be established, like having some stability in your life. You're dealing with a man who's in his 30s, 40s. There should be a measure of stability there. There should be 50s, 60s. There should be some stability there. So you have to think and ask yourself, what am I joining him in? And do I want to be a part of that? So it's like you can't build a great life, with an unstable foundation. And if men, there are many men out there who will talk about being leaders, and men are the leaders, and so on and so forth. That comes with a lot of responsibility, if that's the case. And you've got to have your act together, and God's going to hold you accountable for that. People don't think about that either. So, yeah. And finally, does he have empathy? Does he care about how you feel? Does he care about how his actions might impact you? Does he have empathy? Does he have the ability to step outside of himself and his own point of view and maybe try to see things from a different angle? Does he listen to you? Is he flexible? Do you have any sort of influence, Or does he have to make all of the decisions? Or does he consider anything that you suggest? Does he care? And if he is struggling in, maybe an area that might needs improvement, is he open to change? For your sake, because he may know that his behavior or what he's struggling with might be having a negative impact on you and on the family. Is he willing to change? See, you can work with that. No man is perfect. Nobody is perfect. We're not perfect. But the empathy thing is a big deal. So yeah, those are my observations, my opinion, some of the lessons that my dad taught. Yeah, and those are the reasons why I think some women have difficulty vetting men. I do hope that my video was helpful to some of you ladies out there. Drop me a comment. I would love to hear what you have to say. Take care. God bless. And I will see you in the next one.